Some people say life is what happens when you're making other plans. I say life is what happens when you're trying to get a donut. My name is Alex, and I'm 28 years old. This is the story of how 10 minutes changed my entire perspective on existence, fate, and why I probably shouldn't leave my apartment without a helmet. Let me set the scene for you. It was a Tuesday. A completely normal, boring, exhausting Tuesday. I'd spent the entire day running errands. The kind of errands that make you question your life choices. First, I went to the DMV to renew my license. If you've ever been to the DMV, you know that's at least 2 hours of your life you'll never get back. I sat in a hard plastic chair, holding a little paper ticket with the number B247 on it, watching the display slowly tick through numbers while a recorded voice called, "People forward." After that torture, I went to the grocery store. Not the quick kind of grocery trip where you grab milk and leave. The full kind. The kind where you need everything because you've been putting it off for 2 weeks and now you're out of toilet paper, dish soap, and any food that doesn't require a can opener. I pushed my cart through every aisle, checked my list 17 times, and still forgot butter. Then I had to go to the post office to mail a package to my mom for her birthday. The line was long. The person in front of me was trying to ship something that apparently required an engineering degree to package properly. By the time I got home, it was late afternoon. I was exhausted. My feet hurt. My back hurt. I just wanted to collapse on the couch and not move for the rest of the day. But first, I had to take my dog out. My dog is a 3-year-old golden retriever named Biscuit. Yes, I named my dog after a food item. Yes, this becomes ironic later. Biscuit is the best dog in the world. Loyal, friendly, always happy to see me even when I've only been gone for 5 minutes. I clipped his leash on and we headed outside. My apartment is in a pretty busy part of the city, right across from a little shopping area with a few stores, a coffee shop, and most importantly, a donut shop. That donut shop has been taunting me for months. Every time I walk past it, I smell the fresh donuts. I see people walking out with those little pink boxes, looking so happy and satisfied. But I've been good. My partner, Jamie, and I started this health kick 3 months ago. We've been eating clean, working out, the whole thing. And part of our agreement was no junk food. No fast food, no donuts. Jamie's been really strict about it. More strict than me, honestly. But we made a deal, and I've been sticking to it. But today, after everything I'd been through, after the DMV and the grocery store and the post office, I felt like I'd earned a donut. Just one, a small one. Jamie wouldn't even need to know. I'd eat it before I got home, brush my teeth, and no one would be the wiser. After Biscuit did his business, instead of heading straight back to the apartment, I made a decision. I was getting a donut. I looked both ways before crossing the street. The crosswalk signal was green. The little white walking man was lit up on the display. I had plenty of time. Biscuit and I started walking across the street. I remember thinking about which donut I wanted. Chocolate glazed? Boston cream? Maybe one of those fancy ones with sprinkles? I was literally in the middle of the crosswalk when I heard it. The sound of an engine revving. I turned my head to the right and saw a white car. A sedan. Nothing fancy. It was turning right on red, and the driver clearly wasn't paying attention. The car was coming right at us. Everything slowed down. You know how people say that in movies? How time slows down during an accident? It's actually true. I saw the car coming. I saw the driver looking down, probably at their phone. I tried to move, but I was frozen. The car hit me. Not hard enough to seriously injure me, but hard enough that I went up onto the hood. My hip hit first, then my side, then I rolled onto the hood like some kind of action movie stunt gone wrong. Except, I'm not a stunt person. I'm just a regular person who wanted a donut. The whole thing probably lasted 2 seconds, but it felt like forever. The car stopped. I slid off the hood and landed on my feet somehow. My whole body was shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Biscuit. Where was Biscuit? I spun around panicking. The leash was still in my hand, and there was Biscuit, sitting calmly on the sidewalk where I'd apparently dropped him during the impact. He looked completely fine. Not scared, not hurt, just sitting there wagging his tail like nothing had happened. Hero dog, absolute legend. I was fine too somehow, shocked definitely. Shaking, yes. But nothing was broken. Nothing even hurt that bad. I'd probably have some bruises, but I was okay. I looked back at the car, ready to exchange information, ready to deal with insurance and police reports and all that stuff you're supposed to do when you get hit by a car. But the car was already moving. I watched as it sped away, turned the corner, and disappeared. Hit and run. They hit me and then just drove away. I stood there in the middle of the street, holding my dog's leash, trying to process what had just happened. Someone from the sidewalk yelled, "Are you okay?" I looked over. An older man was standing there, looking concerned. "I'm fine," I said, though my voice was shaking. "Did you see that car?" "I saw it," he said. "You want me to call the police?" I thought about it. What would I even tell them? I didn't get the license plate. I barely saw the driver. I didn't have any injuries. And honestly, I just wanted my donut and to go home. "No, it's okay," I said. "I'm fine. Thanks." He looked uncertain but nodded and walked away. I picked up Biscuit, who definitely didn't weigh only 30 pounds like I thought he did, and carried him the rest of the way across the street. My legs were shaking so bad I could barely walk, but I made it. I put Biscuit down and we stood in front of the donut shop. Now, a normal person would probably go home after getting hit by a car. A normal person would sit down, call someone, maybe go to the hospital just to be safe, but I'd come this far. I'd literally been hit by a car trying to get a donut. The universe owed me that donut. I tied Biscuit's leash to the bike rack outside and went in. The shop smelled amazing, sweet and warm, and exactly what I needed after almost dying. There was no line, which felt like a gift from the universe, apologizing for the whole car thing. The teenager behind the counter looked bored. She had headphones in and was scrolling through her phone. "Can I help you?" she asked without looking up. "Yeah, can I get a chocolate glazed donut?" I said. She put one in a little paper bag and handed it to me. I paid, she gave me my change, and that was it. The most normal transaction of my day. I walked outside, untied Biscuit, and just stood there for a moment. I opened the bag and looked at my donut. It was perfect. Chocolate frosting, still slightly warm. This was what I'd risked my life for. I took a bite. It was delicious. Absolutely worth it. Best donut I'd ever had. I was still eating it when I started walking back toward my apartment. Biscuit trotted alongside me, happy as could be, completely unaware that we'd just survived a near-death experience. I was almost to the crosswalk when a car pulled up next to me. For a second my heart jumped. Was it the white car coming back? But no, this was a different car. A blue SUV. The window rolled down. A woman, probably in her 40s, leaned out. She had short blonde hair and was wearing sunglasses even though it wasn't that sunny. "Excuse me," she said. I stopped walking. "Yes? I'm sorry to bother you, but I just had to ask. Are you single?" I blinked. Did I hear that right? "I'm sorry, what?" I asked. "Are you single?" She repeated, smiling. "I think you're really cute, and I wanted to know if maybe you'd want to get coffee sometime?" I just stared at her. I'd been hit by a car less than 10 minutes ago. I was still shaking. I had chocolate frosting on my fingers, and this woman was hitting on me. "Oh, I stammered. "That's really nice of you to say, but I'm not single. I'm in a relationship." "Oh, okay," she said, still smiling. "Lucky person. Have a good day." And she drove away. I stood there holding my half-eaten donut, Biscuit sitting at my feet, trying to figure out what had just happened. In the span of 10 minutes, I'd been hit by a car and hit on by a stranger. This was the weirdest day of my life. I finished my donut as I walked back to my apartment. The chocolate glaze was getting on my fingers, and I probably looked like a mess, but I didn't care. When I got inside, I gave Biscuit some water and a treat for being such a good boy during our adventure. He wagged his tail and immediately went to his favorite spot on the couch. I washed my hands, brushed my teeth twice to get rid of any donut evidence, and changed into comfortable clothes. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Jamie. "Hey babe, how was your day? Still at work but should be home around 7. Want a meal prep together?" Meal prep. Right. Our healthy eating plan. I looked at my phone and felt a wave of guilt. I should tell Jamie what happened. About the car. About almost getting seriously hurt. About the donut. But then I thought about how Jamie would react. First there'd be concern about the accident. Then questions about why I didn't call the police. Then questions about why I was crossing the street in that direction. Then the realization would hit. The donut shop. I'd gotten a donut. And then I'd have to explain that yes, I'd broken our agreement. Yes, I'd eaten junk food. No, I wasn't. Taking our health goals seriously. It would turn into a whole thing. So instead I texted back, "Day was fine, just errands. Meal prep sounds good." I put my phone down and stared at the ceiling. I'd just lied to my partner. Well, not lied exactly. Lied by omission, which is basically lying. I wasn't proud of it. But I also wasn't ready to deal with that conversation. I fired up my PlayStation and loaded up the game I'd been playing. Some fantasy RPG where I got to be a hero who saved villages and fought dragons. It was easier than being a real person who made questionable decisions about donuts. As I played, I kept thinking about my day, about how weird life is, how random. This morning, I woke up thinking it would be a boring day of errands. Instead, I'd almost died, committed a crime against my relationship, and got hit on by a stranger. I'd lived a whole life in 10 minutes. The thing about getting hit by a car is that it makes you think about mortality, about how fragile life is, about how quickly everything can change. One second you're walking across the street thinking about donuts, and the next second you're on the hood of a car wondering if this is how it ends. But it also made me think about the weird stuff that happens after near-death experiences. Like how the universe gives you a donut and then throws a random woman hitting on you into the mix, just to keep things interesting. Was the universe trying to tell me something? Was this some kind of sign? Probably not. Probably it was just a Tuesday. A weird Tuesday, but still just a Tuesday. Jamie came home around 7 like promised. I'd been playing video games for 2 hours, trying to process everything. "Hey," Jamie said, dropping bags on the counter. "Ready to meal prep?" "Yeah, definitely," I said, pausing my game. Jamie came over and gave me a hug. "You okay? You seem quiet." This was my chance. I could tell the truth. I could explain everything that happened. But instead I said, "Just tired from running around all day. The DMV was brutal." "Oh man, I bet," Jamie said. "Well, let's get this meal prep done so we can relax." We spent the next hour in the kitchen together, chopping vegetables, cooking chicken, portioning everything into containers. It was our routine, our healthy routine. The whole time, I felt guilty. About the donut. About not telling Jamie about the accident. About lying. But I also felt grateful. Grateful that I was okay. Grateful that Biscuit was okay. Grateful that I was here, in my kitchen, with my partner, doing normal things. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, Jamie noticed something. "What's that bruise on your hip?" Jamie asked. I looked down. Sure enough, there was a nasty purple bruise forming right where the car had hit me. My brain went into overdrive. Think fast. "Oh, I bumped into the grocery cart earlier," I said. "Wasn't paying attention and walked right into it." Jamie laughed. "That sounds like you. Be more careful, okay?" "Yeah, I will," I said. Another lie. I was on a roll. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the day in my head, the sound of the car engine, the feeling of hitting the hood, the taste of that chocolate donut, the woman asking if I was single. What a weird, random, chaotic day. And the weirdest part? I'd made it through. I was fine. Biscuit was fine. Life was continuing as normal. Except it wasn't quite normal, because now I had this secret. This collection of secrets, really. The accident I didn't report, the donut I wasn't supposed to eat, the woman who hit on me, the lies I told Jamie. They weren't huge secrets. They weren't going to ruin my life or anything. But they were there, sitting in my chest, making me feel weird. I turned over and looked at Jamie, who was sleeping peacefully. I thought about waking Jamie up and confessing everything. But what would I even say? "Hey, wake up, I need to tell you that I got hit by a car because I was trying to get a donut that I wasn't supposed to eat, and then a woman hit on me, and I've been lying to you about it all evening?" That seemed like a good way to start a fight at midnight. So I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my choices. The next morning, I woke up sore. My hip hurt. My shoulder hurt. My whole body felt like I'd been in a car accident, which made sense because I had been. Jamie noticed me wincing as I got out of bed. "You okay?" Jamie asked. "Yeah, just slept weird," I said. Another lie to add to the pile. I went about my day, trying to act normal. I walked Biscuit, carefully looking both ways, about 50 times before crossing any street. I went to work and sat at my desk, still processing everything. My coworker, Marcus, noticed something was off. "You good, man?" he asked during lunch. "You seem distracted." "Yeah, just had a weird day yesterday," I said. "Want to talk about it?" I thought about it. Should I tell Marcus? He wouldn't judge me. He'd probably think the whole thing was funny. "I got hit by a car trying to get a donut," I said. Marcus stared at me. "What?" "Yeah, car hit me in a crosswalk." "I'm fine, but it was wild. And then I still got the donut." Marcus started laughing. "Are you serious right now?" "Completely serious." "Dude, that's insane. Did you call the police?" "No, the car drove away, hit and run. And you still got your donut?" "Obviously. I'd come that far." Marcus was still laughing. "That's the most you thing I've ever heard. Only you would get hit by a car and still prioritize dessert." "It wasn't dessert. It was a whole life experience," I said. Did you at least tell Jamie? I hesitated. No. Why not? Because we're doing this health thing, and I wasn't supposed to get a donut. So now I have to hide the fact that I got hit by a car because it would reveal that I broke our diet agreement. Marcus shook his head. Man, you've got yourself in a situation. Tell me about it. You should probably tell Jamie, Marcus said. Secrets have a way of coming out. I knew he was right, but I wasn't ready to deal with it yet. The rest of the week was weird. Every time Jamie and I were together, I felt guilty. The bruise on my hip got worse before it got better, and I had to keep making up excuses about why I was sore. Worked out too hard. Slept in a weird position. Getting old, I guess. All lies. All covering for the one big truth. I got hit by a car because I wanted a donut. About a week after the incident, Jamie and I were watching TV together. Some crime show where they were investigating a hit-and-run accident. Jamie turned to me. Can you imagine just hitting someone and driving away? What kind of person does that? My stomach dropped. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Like, that's someone's life, someone's family member. You can't just hit them and leave. Right, I said, feeling worse by the second. If that ever happened to me, I'd be so traumatized. Jamie continued. I'd probably never want to leave the house again. This was it. This was my opportunity to come clean. Actually, I started. Something kind of like that happened to me last week. Jamie turned to look at me, concerned. What? What happened? I was crossing the street and a car hit me. Not hard, but enough that I went onto the hood, and then they drove away. Jamie's eyes went wide. What? When? Are you okay? Why didn't you tell me? I'm fine. I'm totally fine. It was last Tuesday, and I didn't tell you because... I trailed off. Because why? Jamie asked, looking hurt. Here it was. The moment of truth. Because I was crossing the street to get a donut, and I knew you'd be upset that I broke our diet, so I just didn't say anything. Jamie stared at me for a long moment. Then Jamie started laughing. Not angry laughing. Real, genuine laughing. You got hit by a car over a donut? Jamie said between laughs. Yeah, I admitted. And you didn't tell me because you were more worried about breaking our diet than the fact that you were in a car accident? When you say it like that, it sounds really stupid. It is really stupid, Jamie said, but was still laughing. Oh my God, Alex. Only you. Are you mad? I asked. Mad? I'm more mad that you didn't tell me you were in an accident than about the donut. Who cares about a donut? You could have been seriously hurt. I know, I'm sorry. I should have told you right away. Jamie pulled me into a hug. Don't ever hide something like that from me again, okay? If something happens to you, I want to know. Screw the diet. Your safety is more important than any health plan. I felt relief wash over me. Okay, I promise. Although, Jamie added, pulling back to look at me. Was the donut at least good? I grinned. It was amazing. Best donut of my life. Well, at least there's that, Jamie said, shaking head. You're ridiculous. I know. That night, I felt lighter. The secret was out. Well, most of it. I still hadn't mentioned the woman who hit on me, but that seemed less important. That was more of a funny story than a secret. Actually, I told Jamie about that too, and we both laughed about it. So, in 10 minutes, you got hit by a car and hit on by a woman? Jamie said. That's quite a streak. I lived a whole life in those 10 minutes, I said. Apparently. We talked more about it that night, about why I felt like I had to hide it, about our health goals, and whether we were being too strict with ourselves. I don't want you to feel like you can't enjoy things, Jamie said. That's not what this is about. It's about being healthier, not being miserable. I know, I said. I just felt guilty, like I was letting you down. You're not letting me down by eating a donut, Jamie said. You'd be letting me down by not telling me when you're in danger. That's what matters. It was a good conversation. The kind of a conversation we probably should have had months ago when we started this whole health thing. We decided to be more flexible, to have cheat days, to not stress so much about every little thing we ate. Because life is unpredictable. You never know when you might get hit by a car. You might as well enjoy your donut. Looking back on it now, a few months later, I think about that day a lot. About how random and chaotic life can be. About how a simple decision to get a donut turned into this whole adventure. I learned some things from the experience. First, always look both ways. Multiple times. Even when you have the right of way. Because people are distracted and cars are dangerous. I'm way more careful crossing streets now. Some might say paranoid, but I prefer the term cautious. I look left, right, left again. I wait for the walk signal. I make eye contact with drivers. I'm that person now. Biscuit has noticed the change too. He probably wonders why we stand at crosswalks for so long now. But he's patient. Good boy. Second, don't keep secrets from your partner. Even if they seem small or silly, honesty is always better, even when it's uncomfortable. The weight of that secret, even for just a week, was heavier than I expected. It affected how I acted around Jamie. It made me anxious. It wasn't worth it. Now, if I mess up or do something I'm not supposed to, I just tell Jamie. We talk about it, we work through it. It's so much easier than hiding things. Third, if you're going to risk your life for food, make sure it's really good food. That donut was worth it. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, no donut is worth getting hit by a car. But if you're going to get hit by a car, at least get the donut afterward. Make it count. And fourth, Biscuit is the best dog in the world and deserves all the treats for being such a calm hero during that whole situation. Seriously, that dog didn't panic at all. He just sat there, waiting for me to get myself together. If I'd been dragging a different, more excitable dog, things could have been so much worse. Biscuit saved the day just by being his chill self. The bruise eventually faded. The guilt went away once I came clean. And Jamie and I are still doing our health thing, but now we're more relaxed about it. We have cheat days. We don't stress if one of us wants a donut. We even went to that donut shop together a few weeks after everything happened. Jamie wanted to see the place that almost got me killed. It doesn't look that special, Jamie said, looking at the shop. It's not about the shop, I said. It's about the journey. The journey where you got hit by a car? Exactly. We got donuts. Jamie got a strawberry frosted one. I got chocolate glazed. Naturally. We sat on a bench nearby and ate them together. You know, Jamie said between bites. I get it now. These are pretty good. Right? Still not worth getting hit by a car for. Fair point. I still cross that street regularly, walking Biscuit. I still see that donut shop. Sometimes I go in and get one, guilt-free now. And every time I do, I think about that Tuesday. About how weird and random and perfect and terrible it was all at once. About how I just wanted a donut and accidentally lived a whole life in the process. That's the thing about life, I think. It happens in the small moments. In the 10-minute spans where everything changes. In the space between wanting something and getting it. You think you're just going to get a donut, but really? You're living, making choices, having experiences, creating stories you'll tell for years. My story just happens to involve a hit and run, a random woman, and some very good chocolate glaze. The other day, one of Jamie's friends was over for dinner. Somehow the conversation turned to weird things that had happened to us. Tell them about the donut, Jamie said, grinning. So I told the story, the whole thing. The errands, the exhaustion, the decision to get a donut, the car, Biscuit being a hero, still getting the donut, the woman hitting on me, all of it. Jamie's friend just stared at me. That all happened in 10 minutes? Yeah, I said. 10 minutes, max. That's the most chaotic 10 minutes I've ever heard of. Tell me about it. What are the odds? They asked. Getting hit by a car and hit on, basically back to back? I don't know, I said. But apparently those were my odds that day. We all laughed about it. It's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time, but it is now. That's another thing I learned. Time makes almost everything funny. Even getting hit by a car becomes a good story eventually. I've told that story a bunch of times now. At parties, at work, to my family. Everyone thinks it's hilarious. My mom worries about me more now, but everyone else thinks it's a great story. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Well, except maybe I'd get 2 donuts. One for me and one for Biscuit. He earned it. Actually, I did get Biscuit his own donut a few weeks later. They have dog-friendly ones at a bakery nearby. He loved it. Wagged his tail so hard I thought he might take flight. My hero deserved his moment. The white car that hit me? Never found out who it was. Never saw that car again. Whoever was driving probably doesn't even remember it happened. They probably went home and had dinner and never thought about the person they hit in the crosswalk. But I remember. I'll always remember. Not in a traumatic way, more in a life is weird and random way. Sometimes I wonder if the driver thinks about it. If they feel guilty, if they even realize they hit someone. Maybe they thought it was a bump in the road. Maybe they were so distracted they didn't notice at all. I hope they're more careful now. I hope they put their phone down while driving. I hope they look for pedestrians before turning. But I'll never know. And that's okay. Life is full of questions we never get answers to. Full of moments that mean everything to us and nothing to someone else. Full of random Tuesday afternoons that change everything. I still think about that day sometimes. When I'm crossing that same street, When I walk past that donut shop, when I see Biscuit lying peacefully on the couch, I think about how easily things could have gone differently. How that car could have been going faster, how I could have been seriously hurt, how Biscuit could have run into traffic, how the whole day could have ended in disaster. But it didn't. I got lucky. Really lucky. And I got my donut. So yeah, I just wanted a donut and accidentally lived a whole life. But maybe that's what life is. A collection of small moments where you're just trying to do something simple, and the universe decides to throw everything at you at once. You wake up thinking it's going to be a normal day. Then you get hit by a car, get hit on, lie to your partner, and end up with a story you'll tell forever. That's life. Weird, chaotic, unpredictable, and occasionally delicious. And I'm just grateful I'm here to tell the story. Me and Biscuit, living our best lives one donut at a time,